Hello everyone, welcome to Tech Mastery with Raj. In this video, we are starting a very important journey because as we discussed in our last video, we are going to learn DevOps from the beginner level to the advanced level. So we will create so many videos on the DevOps series. But before we jump into the DevOps, we need to understand one very important concept, and that is SDLC. SDLC is a software development life cycle. Because without understanding SDLC, DevOps will feel like it will be very confusing, and tools will feel random because there are so many tools in DevOps. We need to learn those tools. But if we don't understand the SDLC cycle, it will be very difficult to understand the usage of those tools. So first we will learn the SDLC, and also why SDLC is important, because those concepts will not connect properly with the DevOps if you don't know the SDLC. So in this video, I will first explain what is SDLC. SDLC, why it is important, and each stage in detail with the real examples, and how it connects to the real world software development. Okay, so let me share my screen first. Yeah, can you see my screen? Yes. Okay, so SDLC is a software development life cycle. So S for software, D for development, LC is a life cycle. So there are so many important stages in the software development life cycle, but 7 stages are very important. Okay, so software development life cycle is a structured process. Usually it's it is used by the teams who develop and design the software. So there are so many stages, but 7 stages are important. Why the structured stages are important? Because without the process, teams will get confused, and the work which they are planning to deliver can be duplicated. There will be so many bugs in the software, and delivery can be impacted because there is, if you don't follow the proper process, it will eventually impact the delivery of the product or the application. It will impact the quality of the product. So for example, we will understand the SDLC cycle with one of the real world scenario. Okay, so think about building a house. So if you are planning to build a house, so what, and you don't start building randomly, right? Because what you do, you need to plan it properly. So you first understand the requirement. So what is required to build a house? Then once you understood the requirement of the material, you need to also understand the requirement of the house. So what you need in the house, how many rooms, kitchen, hall, living room, washroom, bedrooms, all these things we need to depend on the people as well, how many people will be living there. So you need to understand the requirement. Once you understand the requirement, what you do, you need to create a blueprint, a design. Okay, so you need to have that design on a paper. Then you build the house. Once you build the house, you need to inspect. So if everything is proper, and if the house is ready to live, and then on a regular basis you need to maintain as well. Similarly, in software also, when you are building a software, you need to build it using the SDLC lifecycle. Okay, so SDLC is not only for the developers, it involves so many teams. So in the SDLC, business teams will be involved, developers will be involved, testers will be involved. Then there is operation teams who will look after the maintenance of the software. So those are also involved. Okay, so why SDLC is important, that we will understand. Because if you have a software development life cycle planned properly, then there will be a clear structure. Each team will understand what to do, what is their role, when to do, and who is responsible for what. So this clear structure is very important. Okay, So the second benefit of or the importance of SDLC is a better quality software, because you are not only building, you are testing as well. So testing is planned and executed properly, right? So if you have tested a software, there will be less bugs or errors in the production. Then third benefit is the reduced cost, because if you are fixing the bugs on a regular basis in the requirement phase or in the before going to production, the fixing bugs will be cheaper. Once the production once the software is in the production or the application is in production, then it is going to impact your production and it will be very expensive. So testing needs to be done in advance. If you do testing in advance in the initial phases, it will be cheap, so it will reduce the cost as well. Then next benefit of having the proper SDLC cycle is better collaboration, because there are different teams, as I mentioned, different teams involved. So business team who defines the requirement, what software is required or what kind of application is required. So business team will define the requirement. Then there is a developers team, they will build it, they will write the code, okay, they will build it. Then there is a testers team who will validate the software, who will run different kind of test cases on the code written by the developers, and they will check whether the code is working properly as expected, whether it is giving the right output, everything. And if it is testing it properly and then delivered, then there won't be any problem in the production. And last benefit is predictable delivery. So if you have a deadline, so your you have proper plan, you have design ready, you have developed software, then you have tested, so it is easy to understand by when you can deliver the software. So this is the reason SDLC or software development lifecycle process is very important. Okay, so let's understand the what are the key stages of the SDLC workflow. Okay, so first phase is requirement gathering. Okay, requirement gathering, this is the first phase, uh, where you understand what is the exact requirement. Okay, then second phase is planning. You plan in advance that, okay, you understood the requirement, this is what you want to build, so you plan it, in a chunk, you plan it in a one go, whatever is, but you know the requirements, so you can plan it. The next stage is design. Okay, so once you understood the requirement, you can design, okay, this is what we are going to deliver. So on paper, this application or software will look like this. Once that is done, then you can start actually developing the software or the application. So that means you will start writing the code at this phase, development phase. Once the development is done, you need to test it, because you have written a code, you need to understand whether the written code is working properly or not. So you will start the testing. Once the testing is done, then you are ready to deploy your code into the production. So that is the next stage. And the last stage is, once you deploy it, you need to maintain as well. Okay, so you need to maintain the software which you have delivered, because once you deliver, there can be some other problems which you may not have faced during the testing, or there might be a change in the requirement, or there might be some bugs, so you need to keep maintaining. And this is the workflow, but this is not a straight line. Okay, so it is a loop. So once maintenance is done, it again repeats with the requirement. So if you have delivered one software in the production, users are using it, but now there is another requirement, so you need to make changes in the existing software. So what you do, you understand the requirement, you plan, then you design, then you develop, test, deploy, and again maintain. So this loop will keep on going. This is the so after deployment also, there can be user feedback. Your software is ready and now users have started using it, but when users start using it, they may face some issues, or they want some different requirement, or they might request some extra features. So you need to understand the requirement. Or while using, they might face some bugs, they might found some bugs, or if new feature is required by the users, you need to keep on working on it and Every time you have to make change in your existing software which you have delivered, or even if you are building new software or application, you need to follow the SDLC workflow. Okay, so this is where DevOps becomes important, because now you understood the workflow. So every time you need to follow the cycle, and it is going to be very difficult to follow the same process every time. So that's why DevOps helps you. Okay, so now we will understand the requirement gathering. This is the first phase of the SDLC. So what happens at this phase, or what exactly requirement gathering means, who is involved? So requirement gathering is exactly where, what exactly you understand that what exactly you are going to build. Okay, so who is involved in this phase? First is client, the person or the organization who wants the software. So that person is involved. That person will tell you that, okay, this is my requirement, I want software like this, I want application like this. So suppose a bank asking for a mobile banking app. So the bank will tell you, okay, I want a mobile banking app developed so that my account holders can use that app, and they can uh, use the app, and they can do the online banking transactions, and they can also access their accounts online with the mobile app instead of logging to the web browser. They can. So bank is the client. Okay, then the second party involved is the stakeholders. Okay, so stakeholder is anyone who is impacted by the system. For example, end users, the customers. So customers are also involved, not directly, but customers can give the feedback. Okay, then managers, clients manager, they might come into the picture, because they might explain the cost, how much they can spend to build the software. Okay, then there can be a compliance team. They will tell you, okay, we want to build this software, but these are the legalities you need to understand. Okay, then there can be a support team. So these are the stakeholders involved. And then there is a business team or a business analyst. Who is business analyst? Business analyst act as a bridge between the client and a technical team. So the technical team who is going to build the software, and the client who wants the software. So the business analyst or business team is the team who will work as a bridge between these two teams, technical and the client. They understand the business needs and convert them into the technical requirement. Because suppose you have a Python developer, but they don't know what is the transactions, what is debit, credit. Okay, and similarly client knows the debit, credit, but they don't know Python. So business analyst or business team is the one who understand the business requirements and convert those requirements into the technical terms and explain it to the technical team, so that technical team understand the requirements. Okay, so at this stage, this business team will create some documents. Okay, the first one is the business requirement document, is BRD. Okay, so this is a high level document, focuses on the business needs, what exactly business wants, and it is written in a simple language. For example, a user should be able to transfer money. This is one requirement. The second requirement, system should support login. Okay, and then there is a functional requirement document, FRD. Okay, so in this document they have explain everything detailed in a technical version of the BRD. So BRD is the business requirement, and then FRD is the functional requirement, the technical requirement. Here they explains how features will work. For example, login. Earlier the BRD document contains the requirement that a user should be able to log in to the system. Here they explain login should validate username and password, or user should be able to transfer the money, is the requirement in the BRD document. In the functional documents they will mention, this transfer should check account balance before transfer. Okay, so key difference between BRD and FRD is, BRD is what business wants. Okay, and FRD is how system will behave. Okay, so the output of this requirement gathering phase is clear understanding of the requirement. Okay, clear understanding of the requirement, and no confusion before development starts. So we understood the business team, we understood the clients, and stakeholders. Okay, and collection of the information, what user needs and what problems needs to be solved. And output is these two documents. What requirement document is BRD is the business requirement document, and FRD is the functional requirement document. BRD is again business, which is what customer wants and what business wants, and the FRD is the how system will behave. So this is the phase 1 of the SDLC, software development lifecycle. Now there is phase 2 is the planning. Okay, so planning is the phase 2. So this phase answers exactly how are we going to execute this project. So here we plan the project. Okay, so what we do exactly in this phase is we define the project scope. Okay, so we decide, okay, these are the features we are developing, feature 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are the features. Then it will also define in the planning phase only, you need to decide the estimate timeline. Okay, so we understood the requirement. This is the requirement. Based on this requirement and our bandwidth, we can say that we will be able to deliver this product in the next 6 months. So that extreme estimate, it's not the timeline, but it's the estimated timeline. Okay, we at this stage we also identify the risks, because we have understood the requirement. So what can go right, wrong, what can go right, those sort of things we understand basically here. And also we allocate the resources. Like we allocate, suppose based on the requirement, we understood that how much efforts are required. So we allocate, suppose 5 developers and 2 testers. So with the help of 5 developers, we can build the project, we can write the code, and 2 testers are sufficient. Okay, so we allocate the resources here. Okay, so output of this planning phase is project plan. In the project plan, there will be a project scope, timeline, then resource plan, that how many resources will be working on this, and the timeline, that 3 months, 6 months. Okay, so for example, a banking app, we are developing a banking app, it might take 6 months for the team of 5 developers and 2 testers. Okay, so this is the real output. Okay, so next phase is a design phase. Okay, so design phase, in this phase we define how the system will be built technically. Okay, so in the planning phase, what we discussed project plan, scope of the project, resource plan, and the timeline. In the design, we will decide how system will be built technically. Okay, so there are 2 types of designs. One is the HLD, which is a high level design, and the second one is the LLD, which is low level design. So in the high level design, we plan overall architecture, then system components, for example, front end, back end, database. So we will use these front end features. For the back end, we will use, suppose, Python or Java. For database, what kind of database we will use. So that will be decided in the high level plan. And in the low level design, we will decide the detailed logic. Detailed logic in the sense this how application workflow will happen, or API structure, how the access will be, APIs will be created, or the database table. Suppose if we have a database, suppose 10 tables. One table is for the customer data, second phase table is for the account detail, third is for the loan, those sort of tables. So what will be in the customer data? Suppose account table, in the account, user name is required, user mobile number is required, email ID, account number, then account balance. Okay, so these things will be database tables, and their fields, everything will be decided here. It includes the database schema basically, then UI screen, how your output or the application will look like, and the data flow diagram, so how the end-to-end process is happening in your application, that will be decided in the design phase. Okay, so this phase is basically a blueprint for the developers. Okay, so developers can once the design is completed, the developers kind of get an idea that how they are going to start the work. So this is the third phase. Now fourth phase is the development phase. Okay, so in the development phase, this is where the actual coding starts or coding happens. So what developers do, they write code based on the design, because they have design blueprint ready. So based on the blueprint, they design the or they start writing the code. Then they follow coding standards also. This is the phase, because you when you are writing a program or code, there is a standard you need to follow for writing code. For example, in the code, you should not share your credentials, login details. Okay, that should be in a database. That should be in secure database, basically. Okay, this is the phase. User version control also comes in the picture. For example, user version control means the GitHub, for example, or RTC or Bitbucket. So there are some tools which are required in this phase. For example, the programming language, it can be Java or Python. Tools, for example, Git or GitHub. The important concepts of version control Git is very important, because Git, you can track the changes in the code or allow multiple developers to collaborate. Okay, so Git is very important, that we will cover in our next video series, basically DevOps, because Git is a very important tool in the DevOps tool set. Okay, so we will understand Git in very detail. Okay, so what important things are required in the development is that the code should be readable, it should be maintainable, and it should be well structured, so that, suppose one developer wrote a code and then he left company, some other people join, so the other people should be able to understand that code. It should be well structured. So this is the fourth phase of the SDLC. Next phase is the testing. Okay, we will understand the testing phase. So what is the goal of testing? Is to ensure that software works correctly before release. Okay, so before going or delivering the software, in the testing phase, we test everything. So there are many types of testing. For example, unit testing. The unit testing is important for the testing of individual functions. So there is a login function, then there is a transaction, then there is a credit, or maybe there can be hundreds of functions. So each and every function will be tested in the unit testing phase. Then there is a integration testing. Integration testing means the test interaction between the modules. So one module is working correctly with the other module or not. Integration, basically. So you have written 10 programs for one application, whether the one program is referring another program, is that working correctly or not? That will come in the integration testing. Then there is a system testing. So that tests the complete system, everything. And then there is a UAT, user acceptance testing, that is basically done by the business or users, and then final approval will be given. Okay, so testing is not just finding the bugs. It ensures, testing, you find the bugs in the testing, you find the errors also, but that is not the only goal of the testing. It ensures the performance or security or the reliability of the product. Okay, so that's why testing is very important. The next phase is the deployment phase. This is very important. This is the phase where you actually release the software to the users. Okay, so there are multiple environments in the deployment phase, because this is the phase where your software goes live. So development environment, where developers have built the product. Then there is a testing environment where QA or tests happen. And then there is a production, real users use the software in the production environment. For example, uploading app to cloud server. So you have developed one app, now you have uploaded it to the cloud or the server, so that users can start using it. Or suppose you have created a website, and now that website is accessible to the users, so it is available for the users. Users can start using the website. Okay, because you have deployed it. So deployment phase is very important. This is the phase where you deliver the software and it is ready for the users. And the last phase is the maintenance phase. Maintenance phase is after release. Work does not stop after release, because you might think that now we have developed a product, it is live, users started using it, so there is no more work. No, there is a work, because even you deliver the product, after release also there might be some problems. For example, during testing you may not have faced some bugs, but on the production, when, because during testing you have 100 users using this, 100 users testing it, but when it goes live there can be millions of users. So when millions users start using it, it can give some performance issue or some storage issue. Okay, so you need to, or some users might have some different use case which you have not considered you during your testing, so that time the users can face issue. So those also need to be fixed. So after deployment, in the maintenance phase you need to fix the bugs. Then then there is a adaptive maintenance as well. What is adaptive maintenance is update in your product due to the environment changes. For example, now you have delivered some product which is running on a version OS version v7 r5, and now the OS is upgraded to v7 r6. So your product is not working or compatible with that version. So what you need to do, you need to make some changes to adopt the system changes. OS, it can be OS update or browser change. Okay, then there are some perfective maintenance. For example, if there is some extra feature requested by the user or the client, so you need to develop and then deliver that feature. But for that feature also you need to follow the entire cycle, right from the requirement gathering till the deployment and then maintenance again. Okay, so for example, a banking app you have delivered, and now new feature like client asks, add UPI or biometrics feature in the banking app. So you need to deliver that. So what you need to do, you need to again understand the requirement, you need to plan it, you need to design, then you need to develop, you need to test, then deliver, and then maintain again, that also. So SDLC is not going to end at the maintenance, it is ongoing process. So after maintenance, there can be a new requirements in the business, or business requirement might change, or some new feature is required. So SDLC cycle repeats. This is why modern systems are always evolving. Okay, so these are the important concepts. Now after maintenance, this is a new requirement and everything we saw, but how this SDLC is connected with the DevOps. Okay, because SDLC is a process, so there are 7 stages you need to follow to, right from the requirement gathering till the maintenance. You have delivered. Where DevOps fits? So DevOps is not a process, DevOps is a culture, the optimization process basically. So traditional model of SDLC, there are so many problems, because in the traditional model there is a slow delivery, there is a manual work, so much manual work, there is a communication gaps. Why? Because there are different teams. There is a development team, there is a business team, there is an operation team. Okay, but DevOps has improved these problems, and the DevOps has fixed these problems. For example, DevOps has automated CI/CD pipelines. Automated CI/CD, CI is a continuous integration and continuous deployment. So that has automated in the DevOps. So because since it is automated, there is less manual work. Because of that, release is faster, and there is no communication gaps. So because if you release frequently, you get the feedback continuously. Based on the feedback, you can make further enhancements and deliver. So DevOps is very important. So DevOps makes SDLC basically faster, smarter, and continuous. Okay, so SDLC is a structured process to build software. There are 7 phases. I will just summarize now all these phases. One is the requirement, then planning, then design, then development. Okay, after development there is there is a testing phase, then deployment, and then maintenance. Okay, so these are the 7 phases in the SDLC. Okay, and we have seen how DevOps is going to improve the SDLC cycle. Okay, so today we have understood the software development life cycle and the key phases of the software development life cycle, like requirement gathering, what happens in requirement gathering, what happens in planning, then design, development, testing, deployment, and maintenance. Okay, and this is very important because DevOps fits into this cycle only. How DevOps is going to help or improve this SDLC cycle, that we will see in our next video. Okay, so in next video we will understand what is DevOps, why it is needed, how it improves SDLC, and what are the benefits of DevOps. Okay, so if you found this video helpful, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with your friends. Okay, so thank you so much.